biggest thing that made your photos look really different was presets.
Yeah.
And there was people that were making an absolute mint of presets. So like that was...
Welcome in, Rambling Gamers. I'm Absurd Parrot. And with me today, I have two special guests, part of the Rambling Gamers podcast, Lacey and Mel. And they're going to be helping me discuss Animal Crossing in review. We're very close to our 3-year anniversary for the game, and we're going to discuss what has happened, what has changed since the game came out, and yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do today. It's going to be pretty relaxed, and this is an introduction as well into how the roundtable is going to be. They're probably going to be longer episodes in this and may have more people a part of it, but this will give you guys an idea of what it's going to sound like, what it's going to be. And I personally have always enjoyed Animal Crossing. I've always loved it, and if you guys watch my streams, you know right now I'm dipping my big toe is in the water, and I'm going headfirst into Spicy Switch modding, learning, how the whole thing works, and I like it. And I know, Mel, you've been watching. How have you been enjoying watching me learn how to spicy switch it up?
It's been really neat to watch because I've never, obviously I have friends that are modded, and I've been around the modding community. I really like it a lot, but seeing you with the computer part of it, I've never seen that part ever until you started streaming it yesterday. So I thought that was really neat to watch. How you inject stuff into your pockets, and
right.
That was really cool to see.
I thought I had to keep my computer connected the whole time, so I was like, how am I going to stream it if my Switch is connected to the PC? And then in chat I was being told, oh no, it's Bluetooth, and I'm like, oh phew. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So although my computer and I stream, obviously they're right next to each other. I don't know the distance of how close they have to be, but if you had a laptop that had it, you probably could do it just the same. Because I have it on the dock, it's on my screen, and it's just click clack. I got a tree, I got some terraforming done, but I'm enjoying it. But other than the spicy portion, Mel, we already had an interview with you. If you guys haven't listened to the Mel interview podcast, go listen now. It was technically the third one, if you include the introduction, where we talk about her intro into gaming and getting into Animal Crossing. But you've been a part of it since the beginning. Maybe not on social media, but how do you think the builds have changed over time, and maybe the meta of Animal Crossing? How has it transformed over the past 3 years?
Oh, I think it's transformed a lot. The beginning of the game, it was just trying to catalog, and I know what people would have catalog parties at their islands, and I don't even think I didn't time travel. I don't know if you time traveled, but I didn't even know you could time travel.
Yeah, no.
6
I didn't time travel. Did you time travel, Lacey?
I didn't time travel for quite literally the longest time. So the last island that I built before I hung up my AC boots was the only island that I actively time traveled. So even up until really recently, so Zootopia and everything, I didn't time travel. I was always too paranoid, and I was that player that had to gift and had to talk every single day and had to do all the daily activities.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I was doing things like I had amiibos and I was trying to, get villagers for friends, I'm like, I can get you them. You've just got to wait 3 days because I don't time travel.
I didn't know that.
I didn't have anything against it. I knew lots of people that did it, and I had nothing against it. I used the spicy services. So I got into the now Treasure Islands really, really, really early. I found this streamer that would have these islands, and it was an absolute dog's breakfast. It was a schmozzle with random stuff everywhere. So I wasn't against quote unquote cheating. I was just too paranoid to do it to my own island. I just was like, I'm going to miss someone and I'm not going to get their photo, and I used to freak out.
I think I was the same way. I was like, I want to take it slow and I want to enjoy it. And I love talking to my villagers daily, and I like the decorating and figuring out what you're going to do. And to me, the biggest pain was, like you said, waiting. Like, oh, I got to wait for the bridge to build. I got to wait for the incline to go. But then I remember waking up the next day and being like, woo, there's my incline, you know, and I would take the photo. You remember everybody taking their photos?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh,
yep. And
man.
I remember moving my neighborhood for the first time ever and going day by day to move each house because I didn't time travel.
Yeah.
And like how much it's changed. It's crazy.
Now, I don't know how you did it, but for me, I remember setting up a neighborhood and, like you said, house by house. But I would go through, start decorating, start putting some paths down, and I would like do a square. Like, okay, the house fits here. I looked online, like, okay, it's roughly this by that. So I would have like some of the plots ready, and then all I'd have to do is the next day put the house in.
I do that now, but I didn't know how to do that back then. I'm talking like 2020.
Yeah.
Barely knew how to do anything. I didn't even know you could kick villagers out until I was like 6 months into the game. So I didn't even know that you could get rid of the ones that I didn't like and never talk to on my island.
Wait, who was one you didn't like?
There's lots, but
from the original.
Moose, the little mouse. He was I think he was my first villager, like the jock when you get off the airplane.
Oh, an original one.
Yeah, and I just never talked to him. I didn't like him at all. And to be honest, I thought he was a girl at first because I never talked to him, and then I realized that he was a boy. Yeah.
Oh man.
I was so lucky with my very first island because I didn't know that you could like restart as well. You know, like I didn't know that concept of like deleting your island and starting with newbies again. But my very first villagers were Teddy and then Deirdre. And I just thought they were so cute. And I found I got lots of really cute villagers. So I didn't know that there were so many out there until one time when I finally realized that you could villager hunt and you could try and find people and, you know, you could hop, da-da-da. I got confused and I left my plot thinking that I could, you know, villager hunt the next day, didn't realize, and Keaton showed up, and that's my, like, that and Blue Bear are the only villagers that I have serious beef with, and I just can't stand them.
What is wrong with Blue Bear? She's adorable.
So Blue Bear is cute, and I brought her to my island, and I thought, she's really sweet. This is great. But remember the update where the villagers would invite you, like the most recent update, where they invite you to the house, and you could go over to their house and hang out? Well, I did that for Blue Bear, and we're chatting and doing that, and I was ready to leave. And she's like, don't leave yet. It's too early. And I kid you not, she kept me in there for 15 minutes.
Holy crap.
And she still wouldn't let me go. So I had to restart my game. And after that, I was like, you're gone. I'm not keeping you on my island. You tried to hold me hostage.
Well, I guess if we're sharing first villager stories, I had Biff, who I think, hey, don't you dare. And I had Phoebe. And Phoebe, I thought was a cool design, a cool color. But Phoebe, who was a sisterly, if you guys don't know the different personalities, Phoebe is a sisterly personality. But she was just so mean to me. Like, why are you wearing that shirt? Oh, your eyes busted from the bees. I know. Thanks, Phoebe. You know, or from the wasps. But she was just me. As soon as she wanted to go, I had 10 villagers, and she wanted to go as soon as I got the 3-star. And I was like, get out of here. Get out.
Had any of you guys actually played like Animal Crossing before this, or was this your first dip in? Like, you know, this is your first Animal Crossing.
This is my first.
Yeah, me too.
But
me too.
Okay, so all three of us. Okay.
Yeah,
so the only
because I remember getting really confused because my friend told me to get the game,
Mhm.
and so I said, I've got a bear on my island that keeps talking about exercising. This is so weird because I didn't even know that there was personality types, and he was obviously a jock, and so I didn't understand. So like, now that you think about how much we, I guess, kind of know, and all the apps that we've got and all the little guides and stuff, it's just so funny to think about, like, when we all first started, like, how much information has changed or is out there now to be able to play the game.
Yeah. And for me, the only background I had with the game, played Animal Crossing City Folk on GameCube, and so did another friend of mine, and they played online together. And all I know is that they just remember they connected with random people and they would play and they enjoyed it. And I thought it was the weirdest thing. But as soon as it was on the Switch, I was into it, and I was just like, "This is," obviously there was the pandemic, but I was like, "This is my game," and I've obviously been hooked ever since.
I think there's something so simple about it that it's just so easy to play. And I think I hadn't played a game before that was locked to days. You usually just have those kind of adventure games and you just kind of go through the story and you can play for as much as you want or as little as you want. And it's not really affected by any time at all.
Right.
So I think that for me was really new as well. And I, only played really at night because I had kids. And so I think it was really, really interesting and really, really cool to have those aspects so locked, and like all the fish and bugs being like month locked as well. I really, really loved that.
Season
and I was
locked,
with,
Mm-hmm.
completing my museum. I thought that was just such a fantastic part of it, and I'm really hoping that when they bring out a new game they still have those things, which obviously we'll all get bored of and we'll go back over to designing, but I think it would be nice to have that newness again of fishing and catching everything and filling the museum. Like that was always so much fun for me.
Right. No, I agree. I like this. I feel the same as far as like starting out and it's like you're playing it slow and you're just enjoying it, and it'll be interesting to how people play when the next iteration comes, whenever it comes.
And the beginning music is my favorite too. So whenever you restart an island, that beginning music is so good.
And there's not much to it. It's like, because don't they add instruments like the farther you get in the beginning? Isn't that how that works? Like every time you add a building, they add a little bit more to the music.
I didn't
That's
know
really
that.
Cool. I didn't notice.
You didn't realize that?
No.
Yeah, so like when you first playing, it's a very minimalistic sound, and then when you add like a little bit, they add a little, I don't even know exactly, a little ding, whatever in there, and then once it's like fully developed, then the full orchestra's in there basically.
I love the 5 a.m. like the sunrise music. The sunrise music is always so chill.
What's funny is I had island tours last week, and I had one that was like 5:30, and the other one was like 5:30 in the morning and 5:30 at night, and it was like the best of both worlds. Where I'm like, give me the sunrise and the sunset all day.
Yeah, it's so lovely and so relaxing.
Yeah, it is. But I guess kind of going through the Animal Crossing in review, going from early days to when did you guys first join social media, and how did you join it as far as the Instagram Animal Crossing community?
I started like right when everyone was first making Instagrams. I was like one of the first in the kind of community, not like the first, like, but I was just in that first chunk. And it was really, really lovely because everyone was so new.
Right.
That everyone was super supportive and everyone hyped up the islands, and they're obviously really minimal and natural and things like that. And there was a little bit of a difference in terms of style, but it was just really cool. And I think lots and lots of people got really connected really, really quickly and made lots of friends.
Right.
And I found that there was almost less competitiveness because everyone's looked really similar because everyone was at the same level, if that makes sense. Like, you're all learning, and so you're all kind of learning to walk, and you're fumbling your way through things. But the biggest thing when I first started, like the biggest thing that made your photos look really different was presets.
Yeah.
And there was people that were making an absolute mint of presets. So like that was the thing when you first started. Animal Crossing IG was selling Animal Crossing presets. Like that was the biggest thing. And you were so cool if you bought this person's preset or that person's preset. Like that was your claim to fame sort of thing, particularly if that person that created the preset liked your photo. Like that was the big buzz when we first started in the Animal Crossing Instagram community.
How about you, Mel? When did you join?
I joined August of 2021.
So you were a late bloomer.
Yeah, I feel like I missed out a whole year on all the fun stuff. I, for the first year, really just played with my girls. We all had our own Switches at that point, because we were all staying home. So we bought everyone their own Switches, their own game, and the girls and I would just play together. I didn't even know the Instagram community existed. So,
and actually, the thing that blows my mind is that you were able to find Switches because because I know a lot of people were fighting for them in the stores or trying to get somebody to get them.
I got them lights. That's how we did it. We got 3 lights, so we only had one. I call it the big switch, right. And then each girl had their own light. So
yeah. Well, I joined because a friend of mine, he joined. He posted. Originally he posted on Reddit an image, and he goes, "Holy crap! It's got so many likes!" And I was like, "Oh wow!" And I went and I liked it and I commented to show him some support. And then he goes, "Parrot, I'm making an Instagram." And I was like, "Oh, all right, I'll give you a follow on it." I gave him a follow with my personal account, and I was like, "Should I just make my own?" And this is back, still pandemic days, and we had like a little Animal Crossing group chat on WhatsApp because all of us were from different countries when we met online, and we were like, so a few of us made some Animal Crossing accounts, and he blew up quick, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm just playing," and I remember celebrating 50 followers on Instagram, and then I was like, "Well, I'm gonna start streaming." I'm gonna start streaming now, and that's kind of how that started. Just a friend did it, and I thought it was fun, and it was nice to see other people's designs, and ideas.
And definitely,
I think that's the best thing about, I guess, it being in a pandemic, because I don't feel like it would have anywhere near blown up what it did. Like, I would have been, to be honest, looking back now, I would be surprised if it made its way to Instagram. Like, I definitely think it would have always existed on Pinterest as inspiration and things like that, and people sharing their codes and particular builds. But I'm trying to imagine if it would have got across to Instagram without the pandemic, having hit.
Yeah.
Because I just don't feel like people were on Instagram as much as they were as soon as it hit, right. And people kind of went straight to social media like platforms to live, and that's where I spent 90% of I guess my social time on social media platforms, between either Instagram or Discord. That's, I guess, where I socialized, and you get your friends to come over. But I guess I don't actually think that it would have been as big. I don't even know if it would have existed. What do you guys think?
That's a really good point. I wonder how big it would have been on Instagram without it, because a lot of stuff you see on Instagram, it's content creators, personal accounts, celebrities, but Animal Crossing community on Instagram feels like its own beast. I'm interested if it
and it's a heck of a beast too. Like it's such a beast, and I guess I didn't know about, I guess, gaming communities in that same way, if that makes sense. I feel like, I don't know if because we were in it and that was our bubble, and you kind of are so not isolated in a negative way, just so tunnel vision about the game, because we were all fixated and obsessed. We played it every day. That's all we did. I don't know, for example, did the Sims community blow up at the same time? Because they were massive online before any of this, because you can share your designs on the gallery. But I don't know if they existed, or was it the Animal Crossing community that kind of led the way and then others followed? Because I know now that a lot of people that play adventure type games are taking photos in game and posting that. So it's interesting to see what came first, the chicken or the egg, who started the gaming content creation on Instagram.
Right.
Because I don't know.
Yeah, I know. For me, oh, Mel, did you want to give any input? Your thoughts?
No, I agree with her, because to be honest, if there wouldn't have been a pandemic, I would never have played the game. I wouldn't have even opened it.
Yeah.
So I agree. I hadn't even thought about that.
I know for me, from a perspective of, because I started at the same time and I started streaming a month later. I think I made the Instagram in October, and then I started streaming in November. And I remember talking with other streamers in a Discord about growing, and I was trying to discuss with a guy growing, and I was like, you got to use social media, and he goes, well, I don't want to grow on Instagram, I want to grow on Twitch. And I remember thinking, that's not the right way. You got to grow on multiple platforms if you want to grow in any type of content creation. But I don't even know where my growth would be without Instagram. I had a whole episode with a streamer friend of mine, DePeach, and he wanted to talk to me specifically because I grew in streaming because of the people I knew on Instagram. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. That's a great point, Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I only like just found out about streaming through Animal Crossing as well. Like, obviously, I knew it existed in a bigger sphere. So things like, the games. I don't even know what's the right thing. You know, like how they play like those competitions, like gaming competitions,
Mm-hmm.
and they stream those,
Like esports stuff, yeah.
like esports games and stuff like that. So I knew about that.
Yeah.
But I didn't even really know about Twitch or the streaming platforms until Animal Crossing, because I had someone put a call out for touring islands. And of course, I knew about all the YouTube stuff because that was massive, because we didn't have dream addresses. And you would sit there and watch YouTube for inspiration. And that was really cool. And then I had someone call out and they're like, oh, I'm looking for islands. And I put mine forward and she was like, I'm going to stream it. And I didn't know anything about it. I had to go download it.
Like, you're going in a river? What?
Hey?
That was a dad joke. Stream, river.
Oh. And it's really cool. And obviously I spend not a huge amount of time, because obviously it's hard being in such opposite time zones. I miss out on so many people that I would like to watch stream, but there's a select few that I guess stream when I'm awake. Mm-hmm. But it's just such a great platform. And I guess, I learned so much about it. And even that, other people, like people stream so many other things, cooking, talking, designing, whatever. And so I think it opened up a lot of that, additional platforms. And it's just so cool, I guess, seeing all of those elements come together and probably getting a lot more credit to these cozy games, because everyone streams them now. Like, it's not just the really like impressive, oh, look how many kills I got. It's like, yeah, look, I'm making this cute little kitchen. Like, isn't it amazing?
I got blue roses. How about you try to get that,
Yeah, exactly. How about you get a gold one?
Well, sticking with the social media aspect and kind of moving towards challenges, I remember that was something that kept the community alive, was like design challenges or try to make this. And Mel, I know you do these, and I know everybody loves the ideas that you come up with. How do you come up with them, and how do you think like design challenges keep the community alive, or playing Animal Crossing alive?
Sometimes it's nice to just designing an entire island can be daunting.
Yes.
So it's like, oh my gosh, a whole island versus, oh, this person put out a challenge. It's a one build and I'm done.
Right.
So that's I think that's appealing to a lot of people, because it's giving you the idea and you do the one build, you post it, you're part of the competition or whatever, the challenge, and then it's done.
Right.
So I think that's appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's fun too. It's fun to see everybody join in.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, and you guys know, I just finished my first ever real DA, and now I'm like, I'm just gonna do random builds. I just want to do some fun things. There's no stress. It's just I'm gonna make a building or make a section of my island. It's nice it's like taking a break, because doing a whole island is a lot of work.
It is, and it's a commitment too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of that, the funny thing is that when we think about the way that all of that has evolved, because obviously we didn't even have dream addresses when the theme first came out.
Yeah.
And so the expectations have changed in terms of how you design and what you do and how you build, because the expectation is to have one theme and to fill that one theme, an island full of it, and then release a DA and then have a map and have a title. There's all these conventions and expectations around making an island. And so, when you get to do a challenge or you get to do HHP, you're like, oh, I only have to do one. Like, this is awesome. I get to flex my muscles doing this different theme or this thing that I always wanted to do. Like, it's such a relaxing, different way without those expectations.
All right. I think it's one of my favorite things, and it's definitely kind of kept everybody going, because nobody here invented it, but I remember seeing oh, here's the build challenge. You got to make such and such and so and so, and whether it's a 9x9 or interior build, or somebody does an interior. Those are some of my favorite posts, when I did the inside and they did the exterior, right? And we post it, whatever it is. But do you have any challenges planned, Mel, you'd like to share?
I don't really have a challenge coming up, but I am starting my first series I've ever done versus just doing an island.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll just be a series of neighborhoods. Right. And I've asked a few creators, Parrot's one of them,
Woohoo.
to do an interior that goes along with one of the neighborhoods that I'm designing. So that's something I'm doing instead of doing a whole island. I just kind of wanted a break from doing a whole island again. So this will be new for me because I've never just flip-flop between themes before. So, and each neighborhood will be a different theme.
And that's a good way to kind of test your design skills. You know what I mean? A lot of people, whether you're playing for fun or playing to get better at stuff, I think that's a good way to challenge yourself, right?
Yeah, because you can do it all different themes. It was actually a lot harder than I thought because I'm having to find codes and items
Well, yeah.
over and over again versus just one time for the whole island. You're having to do it per neighborhood. So
Nintendo, give us more design slots.
I know.
I know they're listening.
But
well, moving from challenges, I know this kind of hit the community last. I would say the fall of 2022, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like Switch modding became big, getting the spicy switches, hack switches, where you can get, model swaps or just being able to get the items you want. But it feels like it kind of died down. Like once December passed, it feels like everybody kind of went back to more simple builds and a little more vanilla way of playing. Do you guys see that as well?
I think I've noticed that. I'm sure Lacey has too. And I think a lot of it too is the beauty of Animal Crossing, for me at least, is to design something and have friends over to see it or release a DA for them to see it.
Yeah.
And modding is great. I love it. But I think some people were maybe discouraged because I'd have people over and you would see shoes placed versus what they were seeing. And
right.
I don't know, maybe if that's what was discouraging. I don't know. I don't know if Lacey.
I think it's also hard. Yeah, I mean, I always thought it was really awesome. And I guess I've been in that kind of, like, I've been happy to be a part of that, taking advantage of the spiciness sort of thing. Like I've used TIs like there's no tomorrow. Like that's all cool. But I guess I started to see, a little bit of an issue, or I guess I struggled with a part of it when people started taking, models from other things. Because I play Sims, like a lot of the times people took the models, the base, the mesh from Sims items and then just brought it across to Animal Crossing. They're like, hey, I created this new mod. And I guess for me, I really struggled with that aspect because I'm like, you didn't. All you did was transfer the data. And I think there was some people that I guess were probably claiming a little bit too much of that, if that makes sense. Like most of the time I saw there might have been like a hashtag saying Sims or something like that. But I guess I had issues of them taking stuff from other games and then saying, hey, I made this new thing. Whereas there was other creators that were doing model swaps and were literally learning Blender so that they could make the meshes from scratch. And I'm like, well, that's their work, isn't it? Like they've created it and that's amazing. And they should get a lot of props for that because that's really hard. But I think it just wasn't accessible. So it was never going to blow up because there's such a select, chunk of switches
not
that
everybody
number
can do
one
it.
can. And you've got to be prepared to, I guess, go through that process and have that risk, even though I guess the risk these days is a little bit smaller than it used to be. You've got to be prepared for all of those aspects when you're going through that process of modding. And as impressive it was for people to look at, I think at the end of the day, it wasn't accessible. And the people that have done well are the ones that make accessible content, for everyone, for the norm, for no matter how you play.
Yeah. And that's, I love seeing it. As a creator, I love seeing the modded builds. I think they're refreshing and it's something that it's like, wow, that's different. But I think for your normal player, the ones that don't have an Instagram, that just follow a handful of creators on Instagram or whatever platform, I think it was discouraging because they can't ever make that. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I think that's a valid point.
I think that's the hard thing, isn't it? Once you make something really, I guess, exclusive, you're always going to have your people that love it. And I do. I think modding is absolutely incredible. And the work that people did, particularly when they were making their own swatches and redoing things or pulling parts from like 2 pieces of items from Animal Crossing and then joining them together. Like, that's really clever. And, you know, we're getting the items that, you know, many of us dreamed of that Nintendo didn't get. But, you know, when something's that inaccessible, it's going to have its limitations. It doesn't matter how much we love it. If you can't be involved in it as well, I think it just, you know, anything limited can't go far, can it? You know, we just kind of watching from afar going, oh, that's really cool. Like, I wish I could do that too. I wish I could have that on my island, but, you know, oh, I can't. So I'll just, you know, kind of like it. And then I guess it just dies down.
Yeah.
And I know, at least for me, from my experience of, you know, a couple streams and getting my Switch all spiced up, you know, I had someone in chat saying, oh, you know, you should add this and swap that. And I'm like, I'm not getting in the model swapping right now, maybe or maybe not. But I think the fun part is, you know, the ease and accessibility of, I can clear out this portion of an island and now I can design it. You know what I mean? I was doing most of the stuff by hand, other than like a few little things and placing custom codes. It eases some of the painful things, but I like doing the shoveling, right? The terraforming, like, okay, I'm going to put it here, then put it there, and I put some water down. That's the fun part of the game. That's the, like, that's the,
and to be honest, do you even know
bones
anyone that literally does it by computer? I think I do. Like, I think most people that has a modded Switch predominantly, like you said, does it for clearing. Yeah. And then, they get a whole bunch of stuff in their pockets, which most of us can do if we, you know, access TIs.
Yeah.
But like you said, you love that digging, you love the sculpting yourself, because it's completely different to clicking a few buttons, because it's not going to look the exact same way, because you've got to do the double click and, you know, make the rounded corner. And when you're there standing, it looks very different. So I think you're right. Like, you want to just kind of take the aspects that you really are really beneficial, but still play the way that you wanted to play in the first way.
Yeah. And a streamer, in my opinion, and everybody can feel differently, I don't mind going to a treasure island, but I feel like it eats out a lot of the content time. Like, all right, now I got to fly to the island. Now we got to pick the items. And I do like being able to see and pick the items. But to me, being able to, like, oh, I need some castle walls. Bam, bam, bam. Done. Oh, I need this tree. Got it. Oh, I wanted to lay a path down real quick. Like, to me, the flying over and grabbing things, like, oh, crap, I forgot to get this. And, oh, Mel, can you send me this item? And she's like, all right, Perry, let me boot up the Switch. And or whoever in chat, you know what I mean? And I love that aspect of, oh, I gave him something and he can use that. But it does eat away time. To me, as far as a content creator, like, okay, he's got to spend 10 minutes getting, you know, talking to Orville, putting in the dodo code, flying over, grabbing some stuff, flying back. And some people may not mind that, because a lot of people probably have me on in the background or listening or whatever. But as far as the ones that are engaged and chatting, sometimes they want to just, you know, to kind of move along. But maybe that's just me. I know, and also being an American, because Americans in general are known for being impatient. But
so do you think that you felt pressure to like mod your Switch? Like, do you think that there was, like, I'm not saying from a particular person, more I guess from a general feeling where you're like, oh, well, I think I've got to do it because, I need to be faster, because I am a content creator. I am, you know, I do have an active audience that's a part of it, and they're probably not going to want to watch me for 10 minutes. Like, did you feel pressure to get, I guess, look more at modding?
So the only reason I did it, and Mel knows this, is I wanted to do wide angle tours. That's it. I wanted to be able to do an island tour regular, or have the wide angle. If you guys don't know what that is, it just gives it, you know, instead of the world being flat or being rounded, it flattens it so you can see kind of everything in the background, because it's more of a wow. And if someone's going to watch, they can, oh, I can't do this, so I want to watch to see how it looks. So originally it was just, I want to see the cool angle on it. And I've almost had the Switch for almost a year, and I just finally, you know, finished spicifying it over the last couple weeks. So, I would say no. I would say the only thing I wanted to do was wide angle tours. And then I was like, you know what? If I want to be able to design and have multiple islands, because Nintendo makes you either erase it or flatten it, I was like, it's going to be easier and quicker, you know, content wise, to be able to just have multiple islands on one Switch and then be able to get the items I want very easily. But originally, just wide angle tours were my end goal. I mean, even that,
I think having that option is awesome too, to be able to see some of the builds in wide angle. Some not all builds look good in wide angle.
Yeah, and you know, and I've had people say it like, "Oh, I only wanted." That's a new question on the Absurd Tours application. Why tour regular?
I just had you do a regular one for me.
Yep.
For confetti, I was like, can we not do wide angle for this?
Yeah.
But because some islands, some builds just they look weird in wide angle. Yeah. So,
well, I guess the next portion we could talk about is where do you guys think the game is going? What do you think's going to happen in the next year or until we get the next game?
Until? I think until is hard because I think people are starting to not I don't think anyone's kind of like the people that are staying. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the people that are still around are going to keep playing, but I can't imagine how this game is going to stay continuous. Like I think people might have breaks and come back to it, but I don't see, I guess, longevity out of it because they're not doing any more DLCs.
Yeah.
Like I think if they had more things going into it, I understand why they're like, I think that there's a lot of, I guess, disappointment from people about like, why aren't they doing more? Why aren't they doing more for this? They should be continuing it. But I guess I don't think they ever intended to.
Yeah.
I don't think, New Horizons was ever going to be the Sims, the Sims 4, where you kind of get pack up after pack. I don't think that's what it's set to be. Yeah, so I think it's hard for everyone to be like, well, it's an incomplete game. You need to have this. I want more. Why did they leave us hanging? But I think you've also got to understand that the intention of the game is not what it turned out to be. The pandemic plus, I guess, a whole bunch of people through the pandemic got introduced to a game that they've never played before, decided to play it differently because I don't think they meant for it to be a design game.
No.
Like to a certain aspect, but not what it is now.
Yeah.
And so I guess I don't know how much room or how much more things could be pushed beyond what it is, but I have a feeling that the next game is going to be amazing. And I think it's going to be heavily design orientated, but hopefully they don't push it too much towards HHP. And they kind of, I guess, listen, because they did with the last update, like the 2.0, it was kind of almost like, when someone gets really mad because you've been nagging for something and they're like, fine, have it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of what it was, that they were kind of like, oh, you wanted this?
Right. Well, I think a good thing to remember is that Nintendo's a business, right? And they're in the business for making money. They made their money, and for them to, they could make more money with more DLCs and such, but they probably are already working on the next one. Who knows when it'll be? None of us have the answer to that. But I think a good games to compare it to would be like Breath of the Wild. People still play. People love that game. Now, to me, that game is as close to a masterpiece as you can for like a Nintendo Zelda game. But another one that I enjoy watching is like Mario Maker, and that's a game where you're making Mario levels, right? And that still has a strong community. I think Animal Crossing will evolve, is going to keep evolving over time. And whether it's through modding or just different challenges, I think the community, it will shrink over time, but I think it'll stay strong, right? It's going to have a good core of people that still enjoy playing, still like playing. And whether you take a break from it or come back, after a few months or a year, there'll be people that still enjoy it and still like the game just because, whether it's nostalgia of 2020 or they just enjoy Animal Crossing design type games in general,
I think when the new one comes out, there's going to be a big surge of people going back to New Horizons as well to be like nostalgic and go, this is what I used to play as well. So I feel like once there's a new version, it's probably going to crop up and be really popular again because they're like, oh, I want to play the game before it and things like that. But I just don't imagine, I guess I can't imagine where it could go. I think people are still going to be building, but the epicness of kind of what we've got now and the complexity of the builds, I'm like, I can't imagine. I don't know if anyone else can. I can't imagine where the builds could go. Mm-hmm. Not in a bad way, just saying, everyone's epic. Like this is a ridiculous game. It's incredible.
It's like we've hit our ceiling, and now it's just kind of playing and having fun until the next game comes out.
Well, I think that's a pretty good place for us to end the episode, guys, and I hope all the listeners enjoyed it. And if you guys want to let us know in the YouTube comments or on our Instagram or on Twitter, what you think could be next, or how have you enjoyed the evolution of Animal Crossing over the past almost 3 years, coming up on our anniversary for that game. But Lacey, thank you for coming on. Mel, thank you for coming on. And like I said, hopefully the listeners, you all enjoy. Please let us know. And, what other, conversations would you like to see in the future? And hopefully you enjoyed this roundtable episode. Have a good one, Mel. Have a good one, Lacey.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for having us, Parrot.
And we'll see you guys next time.